Have you watched the movie Ad Astra?
I have not, no. Yeah.
Right? You have a great movie waiting for you. In that movie, and I'm going to give you a small spoiler, Brad Pitt says the following words: "The zero gravity and extended duration of the journey is affecting me both physically and mentally. I'm alone. Something I always believed I preferred, but I confess it is wearing on me. I'm alone. I'm alone." You have explored the psychological effects of living on space habitats, the isolation, anxiety that comes with it, boredom as well. How do you start conceptualizing ideas for navigating those obstacles when you think of the test array project? Is that something you've given a lot of weight to?
Yeah, so for test array, we've thought a little bit about it for deep space applications, but we're mostly focused on low Earth orbit right now, which is generally lesser, like 6-month duration is like pretty standard. I did a lot of thinking about long duration spaceflight for, again, for my graduate work. And it's a really tricky balance between, like I mentioned before, wanting to utilize crew time because they're so valuable. Like having crew in space is expensive. It's hard to get people up there, but also not wanting them to be overburdened, which has happened a lot where crew they don't have enough free time. They have too much work to do. And I think it's a question of kind of like what type of work is it? Because a crew can be so busy doing maintenance, but at that point they just feel like they're like a wrench listening to mission control. Whereas there's work that crew has expressed that they really enjoy doing, and that work is often work that has meaning back home, whether it's, like I mentioned before, like cancer research, or really feeling like you're doing research that is helping people back on Earth, versus just kind of like, doing some of the more chore-like work up there. And so I think it's important to make sure when you design a mission, to make sure that you're giving the crew like fulfillment that way. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you have that top of the pyramid is equally as important when you reach these long durations in space. It isn't just about keeping the people alive and healthy anymore. You want to make sure that they're, productive, but really that they're happy, because it's increasingly important the longer you go.
Would that solve for loneliness?
Loneliness is hard because there's a real physical isolation. And I know people talk a lot about using like VR and things like that, but I can't help shake the feeling that when you take off the VR headset and you just stare at the inside of your space habitat, that you're going to be it's heartbreaking. So I think you need a certain type of person to do those long duration space flights, especially as we look towards, Mars, where the mission length could be, 2 years. And there's just kind of a level of sacrifice that comes with that. I think the way that, long expeditions by sea would have been, for people in the age of exploration, right? And so I think there's a lot of romanticizing of it, but I think there's like that movie obviously like touches on the very real sacrifice that people like that would have to make.